Hello, everybody. This is Ina, and today we have a slightly different episode. It's not just going to be me babbling at you. I actually have an expert today to come and talk to us about something. Isn't that amazing? So, to get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way, you can watch the video version of this episode if you go to inacoveney.com/CT10. Oh, I just realized it's a milestone episode. It's a 10th episode. So I have my first guest. My guest is Mark Firth. He greets us from Bogota, Colombia, which is amazing, but you'll hear from his accent that he is not quite from there. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about that too. So Mark Firth, he's a LinkedIn expert. He runs a LinkedIn expertise program. He's a specialist in B2B sales. And what all of that means to you is that he helps you get your business out on LinkedIn. He helps you get leads on LinkedIn. This is something I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you as part of the interview anyway. I didn't actually get on LinkedIn to start broadcasting my message until this week. And I have been in this pivot of my business for over 6 months. So I'm really, really curious to see what Mark has to say about this topic. So I want to get started. But first, Mark has a new podcast coming out next week, and I want you to check it out. It's called The Linkedpreneurs. All right. I'll put a message right here in the notes of this podcast. So Mark is right here. Mark, I am so thrilled to have you. Welcome to the show.
And thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to talking to everyone.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, where are you from and what are you doing in Colombia?
So I won't give you, I'll give you the short version, but in case you haven't noticed already from my accent, I am from the north of England. I grew up in a city called Nottingham, which isn't famous apart from Robin Hood, really. Right. But the main claim to fame, I spent my 20s in business-to-business sales in the city of London, around Europe and globally, actually. But that's beside the point. Learned lots, made lots of money, but ultimately was deeply unhappy. Yeah. And at the age of 29, I think it was, getting on towards 30, that's kind of an age, because your audience is perhaps corporate women. I'm obviously not a woman, but I did work in corporate. I was at IBM's, I was Siemens, GlaxoSmithKline. When I certainly came to the age of 30, it was kind of like, went from, well, I'm not really enjoying this, but there's good money. Right. It went to kind of, I'm not really enjoying this, I can't do it for the rest of my life. Kind of reality hit me, because when you hit that kind of age, you're like, hold on, like this is now life. Right. So I quit, took a year out, came to Colombia for a chain of coincidences, and to cut a long story short, that year out became my life. I'm now 7 years down the line. My partner and my son are in the other room. This is my apartment here in the center of Bogota, and I love it here. And I've started my business from here, working remotely. Yeah, that is, to me, that's a super amazing story, because we all go through that quarter life crisis, right? Yes. Few of us make a country change during that quarter life crisis, but I went through it myself. In fact, I've been wanting to get out of the corporate environment since I was 23. Yep. Since the first 6 months of my corporate life, I wanted to get out, and I always had a good reason, right? Because these are not excuses. These are good reasons to stay. Yep. It's good money. It's security. So I would love to hear about like your story. Like, how did you go from, yes, I am making good money, like this is what my life is, right? Because like in a way, we all think like, okay, I know exactly how my life is gonna go. I am going to keep climbing up the ladder. I'm probably going to change companies at some point, and then I will retire and have a family and all that stuff. So how did you break out of that? What was your tipping point? In order for people to change their status quo in a big way, the uncomfortableness of the present has to become greater than the uncomfortableness of taking a big decision to move forward. And I hate to use the word high ticket, but when you're selling life-changing and transformational stuff that's moving people out of their belief patterns, that's what happens. And that's ultimately what happened to me. It was one day in the office when ultimately it became too much for me. I was like, I've got to do this. I've got to change. If I don't change, because I had high blood pressure, I've been told I had high blood pressure, I was fat, I was distanced from my friends. I wasn't connected with myself, which means when you don't connect with yourself, you don't connect with your friends. I wasn't happy. And it got to the point where, no, I need to take action. And looking back now, 7-8 years on, I've completely reframed. Back then, I thought corporate was the safe option, but I actually, there's a book recommendation coming up, Extreme Ownership by Jock Wilkinson. Once you take 100% responsibility for your business, for your life, you are in control. You are responsible for bringing the income in. And the actual bigger danger is placing that responsibility of your life, your livelihood, your family, your kids in the hands of someone else that, quite frankly, won't swear, but doesn't give a beyond the bottom line, you know? So I actually now completely understand corporate to be the much bigger risk compared to taking control of your destiny and your future. So the original decision was on kind of like, this is so uncomfortable, I've got to take action. The long-term staying out of it, once you're the other side of all that stuff, is hold on, this is actually much better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you actually will never know until you get there, until you actually make the leap. And starting a business is not easy, right? So there are so many people who will just, quit and say, all right, I'm just going to try this for a few months and see how it works. And they end up going back to corporate. So it really takes someone who is going to really see the long game, right? Who's here to make a change in their life and to really take ownership. And that point really resonated with me, what you said about not having control when you are in corporate, because I know so many people like you, even just in the past year, who have been laid off from their jobs or who have been mistreated so badly in their jobs that they've forced themselves to be out, right? To quit or to be moved to a different department. Or so many people are just unhappy where they are, but they continue to think that's a safe option. So I had a conversation once with a good friend who actually went through all of that too, and she stayed in corporate because it was the responsible thing to do. And I'm like, I want people to stop thinking of it as corporate equals safe equals responsible, because when you really take the reins of your life and you start breaking through and doing the things that you love to do, everything will take care of itself. You monetize what you're good at, everything will take care of itself. And that's the responsible thing to do, right? To take ownership of your life so you can be an example for your children. You are not just stuck, right? Those days are over.
Yeah, kids is a big thing, because I always say behavior is caught. It's caught and not taught. So I was wanting to tell my son, you can do whatever you want, you can fulfill your dreams, whilst I was in a freaking corporate job. Right. The best way I can teach them to do that is by demonstrating, living it, and being a living, breathing example. So that was another contributing factor. When I thought about going back, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be in integrity. I'll be telling my son one thing, and my actions will actually demonstrate another. That's not what I did. And you're right. Take responsibility and teach through your actions rather than through your vocabulary, shall we say.
Exactly. So especially when you see yourself working really hard in corporate and being the best that you can be, and kind of looking around, watching a lot of people who are actually quite complacent, right? They're getting a paycheck. If they're productive 1 week, then that's a good week, right? Yep. When you see yourself having all these skills and all this productivity that you could be turning around and making your life better with those same skills, that just blows my mind. But everybody needs a push, right? Everyone needs a reason to get out of that uncomfortable situation. It has to be uncomfortable enough. So tell me a little bit about how you even got into the LinkedIn space. I mean, why not Instagram? Why not Facebook? What was it about LinkedIn that drew you?
Once I quit, I moved so far away. I came to Colombia, I think, looking back, because, we all have blind spots. I was just trying to move so far away from this thing that made me unhappy. And encompassed within that was LinkedIn, was sales, was B2B, was corporate, was all that stuff. And so I spent years avoiding it and couldn't get any success. And then I started working with a mentor who, what he did was very clever, just brought me back to what I knew and helped me realize that I was good at it and there was no reason to run away from it. It was just I could apply in a different way to help people change their lives. That's what it's about for me, helping people fulfill their potential in their business. So I'd used LinkedIn extensively when I was in B2B, in corporate, whatever you want to call it. And so we went back to LinkedIn, we went back to sales, we went back to what I knew and what I had over a decade of experience in, and quite frankly took that to the marketplace with some great branding, some great messaging. I had a steep learning curve in terms of digital marketing. I worked for a couple of pretty famous digital marketers in the space before I started working with a mentor, and we just kind of pulled it all together and taken action, and it's working. we're getting results with people. Yeah.
Can I tell you something? You said something like triggered me big time. So, when you say, you were unhappy, so you wanted to run as far away from it as possible, that has happened to me in my corporate life so many times. But for some reason, and I'm not alone in this, for some reason, a lot of corporate people think, I don't want to do that. I'm going to turn to like teaching public school.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm going to go and be a math teacher. I'm going to go be like an art teacher.
I was an English teacher for 6 years.
Right? I don't know what it is about the teaching profession that corporate people think it's easy. You guys, I'm just going to break it for you right now. Teaching is not easy. Right?
I enjoyed it. I found it easy, but it wasn't my long term. My long term.
I made the step of becoming a substitute teacher. I hadn't quit my job. I'm like, I just want to do something completely different. I'm going to go to teaching. Yeah. Okay, you guys, it wasn't for me. I'm not like Mark. It was not for me to teach kids. Yeah. But yeah, that's the one thing that my mind always went to. So when I started this pivot of my business, I'm like, okay, I want to relate to women who are mothers who are trying to get in the get in the entrepreneurship space. And I was in a mastermind where within the first hour I realized that I really wasn't leveraging my strongest skills, that I was basically completely disregarding the 15 years that I've had of experience in the corporate world. And that's when I pivoted to say, I need to talk to my corporate girls. Like that's who I need to tell, hey, you are better than this. You can do so much better. So that speaks to me. I know it speaks to a lot of people. So tell me a little bit more about LinkedIn. I want everybody to learn something about how to use LinkedIn to get their leads. And I know you have a whole methodology on this.
So the first thing you need to know about LinkedIn is that if your avatar or your target client is there, you're doing yourself a massive injustice by not being on the platform. So I just want to qualify that. There are some professions that are not active. What do I mean by active? You can have a profile, but you don't use it, yeah? Generally speaking, there are exceptions. So no one write in and complain. But generally speaking, if you are not present at a computer, you're not super active on LinkedIn. Dentists have their hands in people's mouths. Chiropractors are doing other stuff. And manufacturing, they're manufacturing, But if you are generally on a computer, like executives, founders, directors, mortgages, accountants, lawyers, information technology, what I would call the white collar professions, they're active on there. And the key to LinkedIn is, I've seen the market evolve. It's a busy marketplace that excites us because we just get better. But generally speaking, people think they can go on there and spam the hell out of it, play a numbers game and get some leads popping at the end. And to a certain extent, it's true. Yeah. Getting leads on LinkedIn is not difficult. The acquisition of clients, which we focus on, we don't just focus on lead generation. Yeah. The acquisition of clients through the platform is completely different. Yeah. So I would just say, if you're looking at going on LinkedIn and you're looking at one of these lead generation type approaches, got here habits of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind. If the end in mind is leads, you're going to get leads. If the end in mind is client acquisition, you'll get clients. Yeah. So just make sure you've got your ducks in a row. Is that a British expression? I don't even know. Just make sure you've got everything.
We use that. We say that
before you get going. And ultimately, 99% of people, they forget that business is about relationships. When they plug in this software, it's tempting. Run the software. No, the key to LinkedIn is building relationships in a conversational manner, in a way that connects, a way that creates connection, a way that creates a mutual relationship. And that's how people come through to becoming a client. Yeah. Running the software and feeling great with the vanity measure of leads makes you feel good, but ultimately they don't become clients. I mean, obviously, again, don't write in and complain. There are exceptions. When I say this, I'm talking about something that works most of the time with most of the people. That's ultimately what a business model is. Working some of the time, occasionally with some of the people, that is not a business model. Okay? So LinkedIn, you've got to do it properly. You've got to build relationships. Take the intention of getting to know people, being curious about their business, taking the intention of connecting with them and getting in a conversation. That's going to get you a long way. What is not going to get you a long way is taking the intention of getting them on a call, seeing them as a cash machine. Treat them like human beings. You're halfway there, basically. Yeah. That's what I say about LinkedIn.
Can I ask you something? Yeah. I'm going to go back because if somebody's listening right now, they're like, oh, I can get leads on LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you that the first thing they have to get over is the fear of getting on LinkedIn at all. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I had to evolve through in my business. When I first started out, yes, I realized I needed to target corporate women. The last place I went to was LinkedIn. You know why? Because that's where my former bosses, my former co-workers were. And it was an extremely vulnerable thing to do, to go out there and tell them, hey, I have this dream and I'm going for it. And here I'm putting my heart on the table, just letting you guys know what I'm doing and how this works. So just starting to post on LinkedIn and having a presence on LinkedIn is so charged with who is watching and what are they thinking about me and a fear of rejection, that I would love to know if that's even something that you ran into.
Yeah, like you're talking about the little gremlin, yeah? The little gremlin's always there. You think, I'm going to do this, then the gremlin's, no, hold on. What will they say? What will they think? What if you fail? He's always there. He or she. Don't mind. But, so, yeah, I experienced that on Facebook, actually. That was a big thing for me. And getting the right support, accountability led me to push through that. Because although I market a LinkedIn program, although we provide a LinkedIn program, and I believe our LinkedIn process is world-class and it gets results, and we do market with that hook, LinkedIn, client acquisition, lead generation. What actually happens when people come into the program, go back to the old marketing adage or saying, give people what they think they want and then give them what they actually need. The reason we get results is because of personal transformation. No one buys personal transformation. They want to buy personal transformation. They want to buy clients. They want to buy a process. They want to buy a blueprint. They want to buy LinkedIn. They want to buy whatever. But ultimately, what you just said, everyone that comes into my program without fail, including myself daily, we all experience, I call it the little gremlin. The little gremlin is always there. He's always, she or she, he's always saying, no, you can't do this, you're going to get judged. Imposter syndrome, fear of failure, what happens if it gets wrong, what will they think? What happens if you're out on the streets? What about my kid? Is that correct? Will people believe me? It's always there. It's there. Every time you push through it like you did, he's always going to be there. But yeah, you've got to, in building a business, I say 90-95% mindset. And by doing that, that's massive for you. Congratulations. Because I remember how nervous I was when I did it on Facebook. I had physical pain in my stomach. Seriously. So yeah, well done.
What made you get over that fear and just do it? I can talk about how I did it on LinkedIn, what exactly did it. But
this was a conversation with my mentor. I just invested a lot of money. And he said, look, I want you to go on Facebook, tell your story, personal Facebook, on video. And I was like, what?
Right.
I don't know if I can do that. And he just said, well, here's how it's going to work. This is the second call. Do it, or I'll refund the money, and we'll just say goodbye. Because I only want to work with successful people. And quite frankly, you're not going to be successful unless you get the real you, your authenticity out, and get past this fear. Let's chat next week.
Wow.
And he said to me after, that's called leverage. It's just a form of accountability. Yeah. But I did it. And I get all my clients to do it. I have the Linktrepreneurs group. You regularly see in the Linktrepreneurs group, they come on and they tell their story. They get their real self out there. And after they've done it, they consistently always say, I feel light, or I want to do more content. I want to get more of me out there. Because a common thing is people are holding themselves back. And if you hold yourself back, you're never going to attract the right client. People go, I just can't get the right people on the phone. They don't become clients. They say, I'll think about it. If you do not have the real authentic Ina, the real authentic Mark out there, you're never going to get your right clients. So what you did and what I did, that is a huge step. And you've got to have the right help and support to help you get past the gremlin.
Yeah. So I'm going to say two things here. Yeah. Having a coach, having a mentor is so important. It's not even something, when I started my business 6 years ago, I had no idea about it. I had no idea that I even needed one. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, no, you can just consume information online and just figure it out. Having a mentor for you, having a coach for me has been what has made me take these challenges, right? Number one. And number two, if anybody's listening to us right now and they're thinking, okay, that's what I need to do just to put my story out there. First of all, I commend you for it. I say go for it. If you want to tell us how it went, go to my Facebook group, inakoveni.com/Facebook. Tell me how it went. We'll support you. But after you do it, take a deep breath and keep on working on the business. All right. I don't want you to keep watching the likes and the comments and the, how people are reacting. I want you to put it out into the world, take a deep breath, and keep on going. Keep putting out your content or your posts, or like keep working on your business. That's just one stepping stone. It's not the end goal. It's going to feel so much better once you do it, but you have to keep going. All right. Don't focus on what people are saying. Just turn around and keep the machine going.
Yeah, because you can never please all the people all of the time.
No, impossible.
Good. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your program, the program that you have out there. How do you get clients?
Ultimately, the objective of our program is to get people getting cash on the door on LinkedIn as quickly as possible. And how do we do that? Well, basically 3 elements. We have them position their business, because when you go on LinkedIn, it's not about optimizing your profile, which unfortunately, again, the market likes to tell you. It's about positioning your business for that platform in a way that's going to attract clients and be coherent with what people want. We do branding. We don't just, that's why we get traction so fast. We align what people's values, their personality, the message with what they want to present, and ultimately what the marketplace knows and expects. We then get them going with a lead generation, which is based around outreach, building relationships, not spamming, and doing it in a systematic way. And we then sell people how to sell on a way that works on LinkedIn, because I don't believe in high scarcity closing. I don't believe in push. I believe in pull. I believe in two-way conversations. And ultimately, we have to be able to sell. If you're selling to solopreneurs, which a lot of my clients are, or even to business, even to smaller business owners, owner-operators, you're moving people out of their belief patterns. You're moving people out of a way of thinking, and you've got to be able to do that effectively. It's a difficult skill to master. So we basically give an end-to-end process to get people clients, and we've done it from all sorts of people. We have had a life coach just come through. We've got like 2 clients a month. We've had a guy that does ghostwriting, who you've spoken to, Steve, who's been amazing on there. We've had more traditional B2B offerings like CIOs. Yeah, we've had everything. I mean, all it comes down to is relationships and taking action. Yeah, that's what we do. We hold people accountable, and we're not authoritarian, but we do believe that, look, you can go get a LinkedIn process anywhere, and I do believe mine's one of the best, if not the best. But ultimately, we're also coaches. We help people get past the mindset blocks, hold them accountable, and do it in a way that's recognized, that's with proper training. So that's what we do. We deal with everything.
Yeah, no, I think mindset is also huge. I didn't even think about that for the first big part of my business. I'm still working on it. And actually, just to make a back reference, I had an episode that was all about mindset to help you guys out. You just go to episode number 8, inacovany.com/CT8, and go check that one out. It's super important. So let me ask you, you mentioned about your LinkedIn profile. I want to break some myths about the LinkedIn profile, because I've heard you say, because I did a little bit of homework and I went back to your YouTube videos. If people have not watched them, people need to find Mark on YouTube. I'm going to put the link to your YouTube channel here, so people can go and binge on your videos, because they're awesome.
But go there. I'll update it now.
I think they're awesome. So in one of them you were talking about the profile and how this is how I've always had mine, is basically my resume, right? My CV on there. So I want to know, what am I doing wrong? How is your profile important, and what should it look like?
Well, first of all, a resume is often based around responsibilities. When quite top level, a LinkedIn needs to be an outcome you get your clients. They don't want a life coach. There's 2.4 million people that call themselves a coach on LinkedIn. That is the one way to fast route to failure, looking like and sounding like everyone else. So we never call a coach. We focus on the outcome people want. And beyond that, what people need to understand about LinkedIn is it's not like YouTube. When you've got to buy a journey, taking this top level again, people are symptom aware, they know what they're experiencing, then they become problem aware, they connect the dots, the problem needs solved, then they start looking for a process to do it. Like, I've got a headache, I go to the doctors, I've got high blood pressure, I need that tablet, YouTube is right down here. When people go on YouTube, how do I reduce blood pressure? How do I stop the baby crying? How do I get leads on LinkedIn? They are problem aware. They're looking for a process to solve it. On Facebook, you can go in at what's called interest level targeting. So if someone's pregnant, Facebook can find them based on the websites they're going to. So you can target them based on being problem aware. Oh, there's a baby coming. I've got a problem. I need some maternity wear. So that's why when you're pregnant, you get the adverts coming into your newsfeed. LinkedIn only has demographic. It does have interest targeting, but it's just by groups and it's clunky. So if you're in a certain group like high ticket selling, it's not great. It's not granular. So what you've got to do on LinkedIn is you've got to start at the symptom level. You've got to identify the obvious stuff that your target market is suffering from on a daily basis. For instance, yours is maybe not feeling valued at work, not spending time with family, or whatever, not feeling fulfilled. Maybe not feeling fulfilled is an ambiguous one. It needs to be obvious. So your profile, ultimately, you need to reconstruct your business model to reflect that you're all your messaging deals with the symptom level, yeah? Otherwise, you're just lost on LinkedIn. So once you've got your business model down into the symptoms, all the usual stuff, we use Lean Canvas, which is a recognized business model, way to build a business model. We then update the profile to reflect the business model, not going in and doing a profile first. We take a step back because you've really, really got to be clued in on the journey that your marketplace takes, because otherwise you've got zero chance on LinkedIn. No one wants to talk about problems, like not even to their therapist. So you've got to engage at a top level, a conversational level. If you're in the line to check in at the Marriott, would you start talking to someone next to you? What's your biggest problem with your marriage? No, you wouldn't. You say, oh, what's happening? Small talk, yeah? So it's got to, your messaging, your business model, the way you communicate has got to reflect the platform. And LinkedIn is a platform where you have to do the whole journey. That makes it difficult. But also on the other end, when you're the first one in there, at the symptom level, if you do it properly, there's no competition. And that's very much reflects my background in business-to-business sales. We didn't go in solving a problem very often. We had to go right from it, move them through an entire consultative sales process. So that's very much what you need to know about LinkedIn. Symptom level.
Yeah.
Symptom level.
Is that what people are searching for? I would have never thought about it that way.
Well, searching is not a big route. You might get some business through on LinkedIn. The real goal on LinkedIn is through building relationships through outreach. I've done content. I've tested everything. I've done various courses. I had at one point where I was doing content 7 days a week and commenting other people's content just because I wanted to prove it. Like I want mine to be the best. And yes, I got clients, but it wasn't consistent. And you're a business owner. I was like spending 5 hours on that.
Yeah.
And yes, the serendipity, I call it serendipity of being found. Yes, it can work, but it's not like Google. It's not like Google. It's not going to happen day in, day out. When you apply an outreach process in conjunction with content, you just know it's going to happen like clockwork, to the point we guarantee results for the right people, because we're so confident in it. So yes, LinkedIn search does exist, just don't bank on it, yeah?
Right. So let me ask you one more thing, because I also saw this on your videos. I'm like, that is interesting, which is automation. So you talk a little bit about other people will tell you you can't really automate the process in LinkedIn. And I'm like, can you automate it? Like when you say automation, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well, there's lots of tools within Sales Navigator that can automate your tasks. People don't look at. So you ultimately, as a business owner, you need to get to the point where you're getting new business in, but you don't want to be spending hours on that. It needs to be 30 to 60 minutes a day, sales calls, lead gen, content, whatever. So yes, if you're smart, you can automate elements of LinkedIn, the basic tasks. What we do not believe in is full robotic automation, because like any platform, you and me, we both work in internet marketing. We know the internet marketing community doesn't exactly need an invitation to jump onto a good thing that gets them easy results while they sit back. And there's people creating multiple profiles, running multiple software, just playing the numbers. And you don't want to do that. When I say automation, I just want to be clear, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That'll burn through your brand, your context, your reputation before you know it. You'll have lost it. So yes, you can use automation, but you can use it very lightly to enhance the developing of relationships, not destroy relationships, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we have a process that we just do every day. I call it the LinkedIn workout. I need to think about branding, but for now it's the LinkedIn workout. That's what my clients do every single day. And it's just the process, and it's just what gets them results like clockwork. Yes, you have to dial in. Yes, sometimes they don't get it right first time. Yes, sometimes people don't have a business model they know is valid, i.e. validated. They know that it's going to stand up to the rigors of the marketplace. That's the fantastic thing about LinkedIn. We always get there.
Yeah. So let me ask you something that has been on my mind for the past week or so. So when I first started with online marketing, what I learned was the whole nurture sequence machine, right? You put out content, this content marketing. You put out your content and people kind of come to you, and then you create a community. And lately I've been hearing more and more about, wait, forget about all of that. If you want to make the big bucks, find your clients and book them. Just find clients. So what is your take on these two ways of having your business?
Actually, when I talk about cold outreach, we do exactly that. I believe in building an audience. I believe in a nurture sequence, but that nurture sequence doesn't have to be through content. We have like 6 touch points that our clients go through from the moment they accept our connection. We don't ever go from message to call, for example. We use a 15-minute call, and then we have lots of other clever stuff we do. The nurture sequence does not have to be exclusively content.
Got it.
Content is one manifestation of a nurture sequence. Just like on Facebook ads, there's lots of these webinar programs out there, so you don't need an audience. Yet they're constantly putting out podcasts. They're constantly retargeting you. I mean, I'm not criticizing, but that to me is building an audience. That is a nurture sequence. Yeah? A nurture sequence can take many ways, shapes, and forms. I worked for Scott Alford for a while, and Scott has his ROI, relevancy, on-demand presence, and intimacy. And that, for me, encapsulates what building a relationship is about, because Scott does retargeting. Scott, his marketing is amazing. That guy's amazing. I learned so much from him. And that's one way of nurturing an audience. My way of nurturing an audience is through outreach and message. Other people will just go and paste content day in, day out. But I actually believe it's better to have the content going out, have the messaging going in, and hitting them on multiple touch points, having a multiple sequences. So by the time they get to that call, they know exactly what you do. They've seen your case studies. They're familiar with you. They're pre-sold. It's about finding your way to get the audience to the point where they're ready to do business with you. So yeah, we're actually agreeing with each other in a different way. Yeah.
Nice. And I noticed that too. I'm like, all the people that are telling me like you don't need an audience. I'm like, yeah, but how do you think I found you? How do you think I signed up to your stuff? How do you think I mean, so they still do it.
Don't get me wrong. Some of the webinar programs, they do go straight from Facebook ad webinar to close, and that does work for some people. But ultimately, I'm here to build an audience, leave a legacy, and that's the way I want to do it. I want to build an audience. I want to have a community, because like LinkedIn might not be here in 18 months. Yeah. What we do is effectively relationship marketing, relationship selling, but we build it around the marketing of LinkedIn because it's done on LinkedIn. But I want a community, because if you want longevity in your business, ultimately, I believe in building a community, leaving a legacy, and getting to the point where you stand for something. And that's why we've got the Linkedpreneurs. That's what we call our community. So yeah.
I love it. You're speaking my language. Like I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. Yeah. I love this. So before I let you go, all of this has been super, super helpful. What would you like people to do next? What is your call to action?
You can obviously find me on LinkedIn, Mark Firth. You can find me on our website, markfirthonline.com. You'll be leaving a link in the comments, will you? Yeah, go to the link in the comments, and you just, if you feel that you want to get going on LinkedIn, reach out and have a conversation. I'm not going to send you some hardcore call to action. Let's just have a conversation, have a chat, and see if it's a fit for you.
Yeah, and I can actually, attest to this. I reached out to Mark because he knows somebody that I know, and I just reached out to him like, hey, I just had some questions on LinkedIn. Mark didn't try to sell me anything. I found out more about what Mark does because Mark was just a great person to chat with, and I got so much out of just talking to him. So I can attest for this. I can vouch for this. Anybody who wants to find out more, go and reach out to Mark. I give him my thumbs up and my endorsement.
Thank you.
You should definitely do that. So anyway, Mark, it has been a pleasure. It is so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the interview. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Goodbye.
Bye.